A 5K training program would look very, very different using those tools than a marathon training program. A half marathon is a very tough distance, but a lot of people find it their favourite distance. Not quite as hard on the body as training for a marathon. Not as much commitment needed, although commitment is still obviously needed, but also not quite as fast or as hard as a 5 or 10K. This video today, we're going to be talking through some of the ways that I train for a half marathon towards my goal of a 1:18 half marathon. Why should you guys listen to me? Why should anyone listen to me? I've been running now for the past 3 years and have managed to take my half marathon time down from struggling to get 2 hours to 1:22 to hopefully aiming to achieve 1:18 in a few weeks' time. And to bring my 5K time down hugely over the years from struggling to get 26 to now aiming to hopefully break 16 with my current PB at 16 minutes and 41 seconds. Quite a good array of knowledge there with training techniques, and I'm going to break today's video down into the 5 areas that I use, or the 5 key tools that I use for any type of training, and then make it specific for half marathon training. But those 5 things are recovery, strength training, easy runs, lactate threshold runs, and VO2 max. They are the 5 key components for me that make up your training for any race. So the first area to look at, recovery. You can't train for any race if you're injured. You can't put your best into any session if you're carrying a little bit of a niggle, and you can't keep on with what you want to be doing if you're not feeling rested, recovered and raring to go. Now of course there are many different elements that make up recovery. I'm not going to talk about all of them in huge detail because we'll be here forever, but they're broken down into 3 major areas for me. And those 3 areas are nutrition, actual rest, and active recovery. With regards to nutrition, you want to be making sure that you're not lacking in protein. You need that protein to get those muscles healed after a hard workout, with the micro tears in your muscles, help your body to heal. Things like your electrolytes, replacing your salts, things like replacing your glycogen stores, sugar, complex carbohydrates, all those kind of things, to let your body have the right tools that it needs to start healing itself, heal stronger, and allow you to train harder over a consistent period of time. Complete rest. And it's vital to know when you should take complete rest. And you will know when your body is genuinely feeling like a niggle, there's something there that's not quite right. It's not damaging to your pride or bad for your training if you take rest, if you have that rest, even if it was unplanned. If your body needs it, give it to your body. Your body can't improve if you don't allow it time to adapt to the stresses that you're placing upon it. Planned rest days, unplanned rest days, and getting plenty of sleep. Now that's very tough for me as someone that works shift work and has 4 kids, but you've got to do the best you can do. All of us got to do the best we can do. So the final thing on the recovery side of things is active recovery. Things that you can do to help speed up the process, Now obviously it's important to know the difference between when something needs fully rest or needs to be fully rested so that it doesn't get injured, and when you can do active recovery to sort of help speed up the process. Active recovery includes things like stretching, foam rolling, using massage guns, going for easy walks, things like that to get your blood flowing, things moving around a little bit, helping speed up that healing process. Next thing that you can use to train for any race is strength training. For me, my splits are going to be quite different to other people, but I was looking at last week's training, for example, 66% running and 34% strength training. Now that's probably a little bit higher than what I would recommend to normal runners, because obviously on this channel you will know that I still love my weight training, so bear with me with this nutrition and strength training. I know it's probably the one that least interests you, but I promise you it's so important. I'm not trying to be patronizing, it really, really is, and it really will help you make a difference to your training if you incorporate these things more. So with strength training, I'm not talking about all of the stuff that I do. Well, you definitely don't need to be doing heavy chest press or, you know, things like that, heavy deadlifts, of course not. But your body is going through a lot of stress when it's running, and those muscles are having to work hard. And although you might think, well, I'm training my legs by running, not necessarily. Unless you're incorporating sprinting and running up lots of hills, most of the time, if not fueled correctly for a run, you're actually burning and degrading muscle by running. So you're doing the opposite of building it. Resistance training is so crucial. All the top athletes do it. I've got some videos on some resistance workouts, and I can bring more to the channel if that's what you guys would like. So the start of a training block, I would say probably 80% of my runs are easy runs, which you guys, if you don't know, an easy run is based on a few things: how the run feels when you're running, your heart rate, how the body feels. Basically it's an effort like now where you can talk the whole time, you're not struggling to talk, and you've got to be conservative with this effort. You know, you don't want to be running hard on an easy run. The whole point of an easy run is that you're building that aerobic system, teaching your body to burn fat as a fuel source, because that's not done when you're running more in zone 3 and 4. So it's basically a way of making your foundation stronger. Look at last week. I did 36 miles last week. I was going to run on the Sunday, but I was feeling a bit sore, so I missed out some easy miles there. Easy runs were at 60%. My lactate threshold runs were at 30%, and my VO2 max was at 10%. Because I'm 3 weeks out now, I'm focusing more on lactate threshold, which is what we're going to move into now. So lactate threshold run right, you have to be running at the right pace, which can be hard to work out. It's a combination of pace and again heart rate. So for me, my lactate threshold run is roughly around my half marathon goal pace, you know, probably a little bit faster, but there is a scale, there is some tolerance, and my heart rate probably tends to be around 167 to 170, something like that. 550, 540 minute mile pace for longer intervals. Last week it was 4 miles at 550 pace times 2. A run that you can sustain the pace for a longer period of time. What we're doing there with a lactate threshold run is basically when you run, your body produces lactic acid. And lactic acid is that horrible feeling when everything's screaming at you, your body's on fire, and you can't keep pushing through. The amount of lactic acid that you're accumulating, your body just can't basically purge it fast enough. Training at your lactate threshold increases the level that you can work at before lactic acid is produced. So basically that means training at a pace and a heart rate that is below the level that your limit currently is. So the key thing, crucial key thing with a lactate threshold run is to not do it too fast, because if you're doing it too fast, you're moving more towards a VO2 max session, and that is basically defeating the whole point. Working at that VO2 max level, we're helping to raise this volume, raise this level, and therefore hopefully increase the way that our body uses oxygen, making us more efficient. So those are the 5 topics. Now I appreciate you sticking with me, because this video is useful to both beginners, intermediates, or even those that are looking for new ways or refreshing themselves on how they can keep pushing. But I had to obviously explain the areas. A 5k training program would look very, very different using those tools than a marathon training program, or an 800 meter training program would look vastly different to a marathon. Some weeks where I'm focusing a little bit more on getting some volume, some base miles, easy running. There'll be a few weeks where my legs might be feeling a little bit sore, so I need to focus more on recovery, or perhaps strength training, nutrition, those sorts of things. Some miles, maybe 3-4 weeks out, where I want to get that race pace feeling really, really good for a half marathon, I'll be focusing more on those lactate threshold runs. Half marathon, most of your training in terms of running, you'll want to be doing easy miles, high mileage at your easy pace, especially towards the start of the training block, getting that base in, building the miles gradually, building the aerobic engine. So yeah, keeping the runs at a nice conversational pace. You know, for example, today, average pace at the moment, about 8-minute miles. My goal half marathon pace is about 5:55. Well different to the pace I want to be running at. And that is not a bad thing. It's really important to remember that. Now, one of the key components here for training for a half marathon is that VO2 max training, although still relevant, is not as relevant as training at lactate threshold. Again, you're probably not going to need to do as much strength training for a half marathon as you would a 400 meter or an 800 meter runner, because those types of runs are a lot more anaerobic, which require more muscle. Even a 5k is still aerobic. Strength training in a half marathon, like I said last week for me, strength training made up 34%. Also just somebody that is into weight training, so it would probably look higher than it would look for you. However, with that being said, I do think that you should probably have a 20 to 25% focus on resistance training, and this is mainly including your core, strengthening your legs, of course, things like resistance band workouts. I've covered for you there 5 areas that can really help any race that you're doing, and how to make it how to make it specific for that half marathon, or you can obviously use this, some of the things you talked about, on how to make it more specific for your 5k or your marathon. But if you have found this video helpful, then please hit that like and consider subscribing for more sort of tips and tricks. And as well, I'll be documenting my journey, hopefully to a 1:18 half marathon. Let's be positive, to a 1:18 half marathon in a few weeks time. I'm putting in the work, so hopefully I will reap the rewards. Yeah, by subscribing, you'll be able to see my weekly training and how that's going along, and also whether or not I was talking a load of rubbish if I don't get my goal at Marden half marathon, or more importantly, learning opportunities, things that might have gone wrong. But that's being negative. With being positive, you'll be able to see me smash on 1:18 and put some credibility to what I'm saying. Thanks very much for watching. I know there's a lot of content out there, so I appreciate you taking the time to watch it. And if you've made it this far, thanks for sticking around. Bonus content. So 7.5 miles in, and I have been absolutely desperate for a number 2 since about 2 miles. I have considered dive bombing into the bush a few times, but I think I'm able to hold on and make it home. I don't want to have a disaster, but oh, it's a horrible feeling. It's a horrible feeling needing to go, especially when you're talking to the GoPro, trying to concentrate and giving people advice while trying not to poo yourself. Brilliant. So that is it. Content complete. See you guys next time.